Alright, this lesson is on corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. Another way to say that is just Cpctc, just a quick way. So today we will use corresponding parts of congruent triangles to state that two triangles are congruent. Alright, so I'm going to go over the notes together. If I'm going too fast, pause the video. You can go ahead and write it down in your notebook or go ahead and finish writing it down on your Google Slides. So, congruent triangles. Triangles that have the same shape and the same size. This means that all corresponding parts, angles, and sides are congruent. Congruency statement. So when the triangles are congruent, you can write a congruency statement. Triangle ABC is congruent to triangle DEF. So that is our congruency statement, and it's very important because when we have our congruency statement, we actually don't need the diagrams of the triangles because they tell us which angle is associated with which angle on the other triangle. So like angle A, notice how it only has one congruent marking. Over here, angle on D, so angle A and angle D are corresponding to each other. So they're going to be the same angle measure no matter what. Angle B is going to be corresponding to angle E, and then angle C is corresponding to angle F, our last letter in the alphabet, our last letter in both congruency statements. So when we say a congruency statement, a valid congruency statement must match all corresponding angles and sides, and we're going to talk about that on the next slide. Whoops. All right, so if we know that both triangles are congruent, then we know that every pair of corresponding parts is also congruent. And we're going to say corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent, which is just Cpctc. All right, so go ahead and copy that down. Pause the video if you need to. We're going to go ahead and take a look at our first example. Our first example is that we're going to list all congruent angles and sides given the congruency statement. Now, when we're looking at this congruency statement, I'm going to go ahead and move some things over because I know the formatting is going to be a little weird on this one. Okay, the congruency statement states that triangle JKL is congruent to triangle PQR. So if I know that already, then I can go ahead and make the statement that, and I put these down here so that you guys can copy and paste them. So we can start off with, and I'll need both the congruency angle and the the angle and the congruency symbol. So we can start off with angle J. Now angle J is the first letter in the congruency statement for this triangle. So we need to look at the first letter over here on the second one, which happens to be angle P. So I'm going to go ahead and copy that angle P. All right, now I'm lazy. I'm just going to copy and paste that statement over again, move this table up. Okay, so the second letter is angle K. Is going to be congruent to the second letter of the second triangle, which is angle Q. Here's our third congruency statement for angles. And we have angle L. So angle L is corresponding to angle R on the second triangle. All right, and that's for angles. Now looking at sides, remember we named sides with two letters. So if I start off with J, K, and I have congruent to, so that's the first and second letter. So JK is congruent to PQ on our second triangle. And we're going to go through it. So the next, hello. We're going to go through the second relationship here. So if I had JK, I can try KL. And that's going to be QR. Because we have KL as the second, third, and then on the second triangle, it's the second, third. So here we go. Here's our last relationship. And since we did first, second, second, third, I'm going to go for first, last, and you can go last first, that's fine too. So if we have JL, JL is going to be congruent to PR. Just go ahead and keep all of the letters in line with where they're located in each triangle. So like J is located in the first letter, so that's going to be the first letter there, and then L is the last, so then it would be R. If we're writing an overall congruency statement, that requires us to go ahead and use this triangle here. I'm going to go ahead and paste from where, or copy and paste from above, because we already have a congruency statement, so I just need to change up the letters. So we first start off by saying, okay, triangle, and I'm going to mix up the letters. So instead of JKL, I could say KLJ, KLJ. So we have K, L, J. So second, third, and then first. So I need to go second, third, and then first for the second triangle. So we're going to start off with Q, R, P, and there's our congruency statement. Now you could have a completely different order. It could be L, K, J, and then that would be R, Q, P. So you have multiple different things that you could do with that. All right, on this next example, I want you to try this out first, and then I'm going to go ahead and put up the answers here in 1 second. So go ahead and pause the video, try them out on your own, and I'll come back. All right, I hope you tried them on your own. These are the relationships that I ended up with. You may have different numbers, different orders, and that's okay. Just double check what I have here and see if it's about the same as what you have. And I'll go over any questions that you might have on Thursday before your quiz. Now, these are your congruency statements. You could have a different order. As long as there's the same corresponding order to the other triangle, then you're good to go. All right, so for example 3, we'll go over a few of them together, and then I'm going to skip around a few of them because at this point I'm hoping you can do this on your own. So I don't want you just sitting here watching the video. So for the first one, when it's saying segment KM, notice how they gave you the relationship triangle KPM is congruent to triangle AYC. So we're going to go ahead and we can associate the letters with just the relationship that's going on up there. So KM is the first and the last letter, so then we're looking for the first and the last letter of the second triangle, which would just be AC. You can locate that on the triangles themselves. An easy way to do that, and on paper this is so much easier because you could just highlight the different angles, but I'm going to go ahead and say, okay, my K value is going to be a red little circle, or I'm going to highlight it red, and I'm going to place it right where K is, right on that vertex, and I'm going to copy and paste that because it's associated with A on the second triangle. So I'm just putting a little red marker so that I can see where that angle is. Okay, now I'm going to copy and paste it one more time, but change the color, and now I'm going to go ahead and identify P. P is represented kind of like this obtuse triangle or angle, and I can clearly see that Y is going to be associated with it, but double check always in your statement. So P is the second letter, Y is the second letter. Oh no. So those are congruent together. I don't know why videos make me tired, guys, but I'm sorry. Alright, so that's going to be Y, and then I'm going to copy and paste that again and make it a different color, maybe go for green this time. And that's going to be associated with C. C is our last letter of their second triangle. I'm going to go ahead and color M, because the last letter of the first triangle is M. So now that we have our vertices identified with our color markings, it's a little bit easier, because if I try the next one, which is segment CY, I look at C, which is green to yellow. Over here, it's going to be green to yellow, or orangish color. So that's going to end up being MP. You can also see that with the congruency statement. CY is CY last to middle, MP. So make sure it's not M like PM. Make sure you also have that in the same order. Here's the next one. We have PK. P to K, so orange to red. Orange to red. It's just going to be YA. Angle Y. So if I'm looking at angle Y on one of them, angle Y is orangish color. Angle P is the other angle. So here we have angle P. And then angle K is going to end up being red. So then what's going to be associated with that is angle A. Now when we use 3 letters, because on your Khan Academy assignment they're going to use a lot of 3-letter angles, you're not adding them together. This is just another way of setting another angle. So A, C, Y, we're talking about really angle C. So you could just say angle C, but since they specified 3 letters, you have to do the same. So we're going red, green, yellow, or orange. Okay, so red would be K, M, green, and P. All right, now the next one is we're going to go ahead and see triangle. And we're going to do the same concept. We're doing another congruency statement. MPK, which is going to be green, orange to red. So we need green, orange to red. So it's going to be CYA. And our last but not least, the yak. So this is going to be YAC. And so that's orange, red, green. So we need PKM for our congruency statement. Okay, so that would finish up this problem. I would like you to pause the video after kind of looking over example 4 and trying this out on your own. I'm going to go ahead and place up the answers here in a moment. All right, here are the solutions for example 4. Double check your work. Don't just copy them down, but understand why they are the way they are. Okay, here's example 5. So for example 5, they start off by giving you a congruency statement, and you have to find the values of x, y, and z. Now using this congruency statement, we can go ahead and I'm going to go ahead and change it over to this program so I can write on it with you guys. Let's go ahead and move it up and over a little bit. All right, so if we're looking for the y value, I'm sorry, let's look for x value first. So if we're looking for the x value, we can say, whoops, we can start off with x, and I'm going to identify where x is located. And x is located over here, which is the u v. So if I look at the congruency statement, I'm looking for the first letter and the second letter. So there's uv, and that's going to be associated with the first and second letter of the second triangle, which is TS. TS is 53. So we know that this side is congruent to that side. So if we already know that piece of information, we can set up our equation as 12x minus 7 equals 53. So I'm going to go ahead and do that over here. So 12x minus 7 equals 53. So we have 53 plus 7, which would give us 60. And then divide by 12, which would give us x equals 5. All right, what I'd like you to do right now is can you go ahead and pause the video and try to solve out for z and y. I will come back here in a moment. All right, let's go ahead and solve out y and z. Hope you went ahead and solved for it. I'm going to identify where my y value is, which is located right here on segment RS. So if we're looking for RS, notice how RS is the last to the middle term. Here we have WV. So here is WV, which is located right here. And that's going to start it off with 57. So we have 5y minus 33 equals 57. I'm going to add 33, and that's going to be 90 equals 5y. We're going to divide by 5. Y equals 18. All right, so that's the y value. Let's go ahead and take a look at the, I'm going to use green. So I'm going to go ahead and take a look and see if I can find the z value. So for z, z is located here. So that's the UW. So U to W, which is the first to the last. So it's going to be TR. Here we go. So that side is corresponding and congruent to the other side of the triangle using Cpctc. So we can set it up as 3z plus 14 equals 50. So now I'm going to solve for z. So it's 50 minus 14, which is 36 equals 3z. So we have 36 divided by 3, which is z equals 12. All right, so that's the work for number 5. I'm going to go ahead and copy that and place it inside our PowerPoint here. Move this over. There we go. You can pause it if you need more time on that. And then for example 6, it's a little different. I am going to go ahead and copy it over so that I can write that down and work it out with you guys. This problem does require you to draw it out, but let's start off with what we do know. We do know that looking at our congruency statement, we need to find x and y. So if I need to look for x, I'm going to go ahead and see what did they give me for the x value. It's MP. So M to P is our first letter to our last letter. And then so that's going to be Q to S. So is there anything that tells me QS? And in this one, we got lucky. Yeah, so, and we are looking for side lengths because it's just 2 letters. So I'm going to go ahead and place MP is congruent to side QS. And we can go ahead and set up our equation, which is 2x plus 1 is now congruent to 15. We can go ahead and solve for x. When I say congruent, I mean equals. When it's an algebra problem, we change it to an equal sign, but in geometry, it's congruent. We subtract 1, so that's 14 equals 2x. X equals 7. All right, so that's solved for. Now let's go ahead and take a look and see if we can do the same thing for our y value, which we know is the measure of angle M. So we have the measure of angle M, uppercase, equal or is congruent. So we have M, which is our first letter, is going to be congruent to Q, the measure of angle Q. But they didn't tell us anything about the measure of angle Q. I have the side is QR, but that's not information that really helps me out. So what is going to help me out is if I go ahead and draw any random triangle, but then go ahead and redraw another triangle and label them. So I'm going to make mine a little bit bigger. There we go. Okay, funky triangles, but that's okay. So we have Q, R, S, and we also have M, N, P. Make sure they're going in the same direction. So we have the first letter to the second letter to the third letter, same thing on your second triangle, otherwise your angles will be off. All right, so over here we have the measure of angle S is 84 degrees. The measure of angle R is 32 degrees, but they told me nothing for the measure of angle Q, which is what I need. Over here, they just told me that the measure of angle M is 17y minus 4. So there's a few different ways we can solve this. One, we can associate angle R is congruent to angle N, angle P is congruent to angle S, and we can go ahead and add that over and then add everything and add up to 180 degrees. Or we can figure out what the measure of angle Q is and then set that equal to the measure of M, which is what I'm going to do. So we have 32 plus 84 plus the measure of angle Q, and and that all equals 180 degrees. Triangle angle sum theorem. So with that being said, we can say, okay, 32 plus 84, it's going to give me 116, plus the measure of angle Q equals 180. We can subtract 180 minus 116, gives me 64 degrees. So that angle is 64 degrees. So going back to our original equation, you know that the measure of angle M is 17y minus 4 equals 64 degrees because they're corresponding to each other. We're going to add 4. So that's just going to give me 17y equals 68. 68 divided by 17 is just going to be 4. And that's our y value. Okay, and that's our last problem. You do have a Khan Academy assignment due by Friday on corresponding parts of congruent triangles are congruent. They might be a little tougher, but I want you to stick with it. Remember that if it's talking about 3 angles, this would normally be named angle N, well, here we go, N, M, Q. It's talking about this angle right here, because I know in Khan Academy they use 2 letters. So if you have any questions, I can answer them on Thursday. I hope you have a wonderful day, and I shall see you later. Bye.